Welcome to Story in a Bottle. I'm your host, Dan Maccarone. Each episode, our guests are leading voices in tech, media, and entertainment. And to get to know them better, we share their favorite cocktails as they share their stories.
Achieving success in the restaurant industry is one of the most challenging career paths to take. To reach the status of celebrity chef is a whole other level, and Sang Yoon has done just that. Over Heater Allen beers, he talks about working under legends like Alain Ducasse and Wolfgang, creating what's been called the best burger in the country and the craziness of Top Chef masters.
Okay, so here we are in your soon-to-be open bakery.
Yes, the Helms Bakery. Look behind you, there's a sign from the 30s.
Oh, back there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we're sitting on this is the door.
Yeah, this is not going to be the table.
No,
this is
the
an
weird
actual
architecture,
door.
but this is an actual
There's
door.
a hinge right here.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So nothing but the best.
And when are we drinking?
It's actually turned out to be one of my current favorite beers, Heater Allen.
Okay.
It's a Pilsner style, comes in a can, and we're going to drink them out of the can
Yes, we are.
because look where we are.
And luckily it bubbled up a little head.
Yeah, and this is a great beer. It's a very small craft brewery from Oregon, and I think currently this is the finest example of the Pilsner style. And we sell this at Father's Office, and it's my favorite right now.
Awesome.
So
Well,
I can't believe I'm giving you one. But I'm
Well,
wasting.
You're wasting.
Yeah,
you're
I'm
wasting
wasting.
it on someone who also owns a craft beer bar.
Yes,
So
allegedly.
it's true. It's
All
true.
right.
One, other bars are less craft beer, but there's good beer there. So we're here in what's soon to be Helms Bakery.
Yes, we're in the restaurant portion of the bakery. This will be a bakery and a market. As you know, this complex is where I've had a few restaurants over the years.
Still do.
Yes, still do. This was a bakery from the early 1930s to 1969. Has a tremendous history of the famous little rectangular boxy Helms trucks would drive through neighborhoods, delivering donuts and goodies and cookies to families and kids and their daily loaves of bread. It was the official bread of the Los Angeles Olympics back in the 30s, and famously it was the first bread to fly on a lunar mission. So the
I didn't know that.
Helms branded bread was literally on the moon. So it's got quite a bit of history, and I'm excited to bring back a piece of that history. Obviously, we're not bringing it back at the scale, and it was massive. But we're bringing, a bit of history back. The Helms name will have some bakery items attached to that name again. I'm really excited about it, and I've been trying to open this place for close to a decade now. So it's been a project, basically as long as I've known you. This thing's been
I was gonna say I think we've known each other a little bit longer than that, but I think that like the time that I've known you, this was a very important project.
Yeah.
And I know that I feel like it was supposed to open like 2019. Is that right?
to 18 yes, there was a lot of supposed to dates, there's a lot of deadlines missed, for various reasons, but it's going to happen this year. It's here, you're in it, so
I mean, we
it's
are
real.
here. There's stuff, and I've seen the layout in the other room, and
Right.
it looks.
You're on the door.
I'm on the door.
We're
And
drinking on the
once
door.
this is up,
Right.
we're
Once you're
good.
drinking on the door, this is happening.
Yeah. What is like? So if I think about, you have two restaurants, you have Father's Office and Lexion,
Yeah.
right? And obviously very different situations.
Yeah.
When you compare them to this, which is a day during the day bakery, like how does? To me, there's a story that's being told from like here to Father's Office Lexion. That's like,
I don't know what that story is. I'm not a really well-rounded person, so I'm trying to be a little. I've actually never served in my entire career, which is very, very long. I've never actually served a single breakfast. I've never worked anywhere that served breakfast. Maybe a brunch every now and again, but I've never actually worked in or owned a restaurant that served breakfast. So this is my first.
this is a risk.
The breakfast is going to suck because I've never made.
You're like, I'm
Never
not
made
trying out the recipes. I'm just day one. We haven't even started the recipe development yet. You're just
Right. Well, no, we have, but nonetheless, I think it's odd that you go this far into a career and you never served a single breakfast.
That's really fascinating to me. Like, do you make breakfast for yourself?
Rarely, but it's usually something like oatmeal or something. But professionally, having served I don't know, countless dinners, lunches, mostly dinners, but just the breakfast somehow, just not a morning person, I guess. But I'm about to be one.
So as a chef, how do you approach that having not done it before? I mean, are you hiring people to consult with you on the recipes or other chefs to cuisine, or how does that work?
Well, we always have chefs, that we hire that work with me. But no, I'm not scared of breakfast. It's breakfast. How hard can it be?
Oh man,
I know. Famous last words, right?
But you're not. Hey,
shit.
I'm actually not challenging this. I'm genuinely curious because look, I know that you make fun of my cooking all the time on Instagram, but you say don't post photos of your food. Stop doing this. Please stop doing
I make
this.
fun of you in general.
Yeah. No,
right.
But I do think that there's two challenges you have. One is breakfast, eggs, whatever. But then there's a bakery.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So do you have a different pastry chef, or you're everything?
Yeah, no. I've always had pastry chefs, but we'll have pastry chefs. We'll have bakers, actual professionals. Not me. No, I mean, I think of it as like a movie. There's different roles. Like there's a producer. There's different types of producers, and there's people who actually do various roles. And yeah, this is going to be a team effort. Restaurants. Team sport, as you know, right?
And I think any restaurant should be a team sport.
Yeah, well, it has to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are at any one thing. You need an entire team, and this is going to require a slightly larger team.
So when is it supposed to open?
This year,
When I come back here for I don't know, Father's Day in June.
You won't be invited.
Oh no, I figured.
Right.
Yeah, no, right. But when I crash the party,
okay,
there'll be things
the
here.
list.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be further along. Yes, I hope. Yes. If we're still sitting at this door, many things have gone wrong.
I don't think we'll be there. I hope so. I think that you'll. I mean, it looks like you're pretty close.
Yeah. It's close. Yeah, it's exciting and nervous. Yeah.
But what makes for someone who's not been a breakfast person and has had wonderful success doing other things, why 10 years ago were you like, I got to do a bakery. I got to do a breakfast place?
Again, kind of my effort to want to be a better, a more well-rounded person.
Yeah.
Also, just like from a serious side, it kind of gives the whole and the entire enterprise gives you ability to do other things and grow. Because if you can do morning service, you can do baking, you can do pastries, and you can do takeout. I'm actually doing coffee roasting here. For the first time. So there's a lot of things I'm doing for the first time, taking a big step forward. I'm growing up.
It has to happen sometimes.
Right. I'm being an adult now.
Yeah. Well, even that.
But we'll still do dinner. So I still have my comfort of, like this restaurant, we'll still have dinner and I'll still be able to do what I've, done for a long time.
Do you stretch your dinner muscles here in a different way than you do at the other two restaurants?
I mean, totally different menu, totally different concept. Yeah. So, I mean, I try not to. Some people like Father's Office, this 24 years this month actually,
amazing.
First location. So, instead of opening, 50 of those, my attitude is like try to challenge yourself every few years, try to, push yourself in different directions, get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's not always a smart thing, but that is how I am. So
I
never said it was smart.
I think it's okay. Look, you leave yourself open so easy for things I'm not going to say.
No, I know.
No, I think it's actually, I like the variety piece of it. I think it's like I've never opened a bar that was the same concept as the last one.
Sure.
And I think that you can franchise, you could franchise Father's Office pretty easily, I think.
Well,
it's
easier to copy something than to be original every time.
But it's hard to keep consistency with that, or quality maybe.
Sure.
Better
I mean,
way.
there's some similar, like any chef or restaurateur that has more than one brand. If you see them, there's generally some kind of through line connection between them all.
What's yours?
Really high standards, quality, consistency. Just if you stay in this business long enough, you're lucky enough to have like a little bit of a fan base and a following. It basically means that over these 2.5 decades almost, that I've made sort of this unspoken promise to the customers. Mm-hmm. So I feel it's my duty to keep that level of promise. So if I do something new, I need to fulfill the expectation that I've been fulfilling. Can't fall short of your own standards.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that, and not degrade and fall off, and try to continue to impress people.
Right.
Yeah.
So like one of the things that you're known for, well, specifically for Father's Office, I can't say this for Luxury or not, but I've been to I went to when you had the Two Birds, One Stone. Before I went there as well. like you have a reputation for being very what's the word I'm looking for here? Stubborn? I don't know.
Are you trying to be nice?
No.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find the right word. You have rules, let's say, around how you prepare foods. And by the way, speaking of copying you, actually no, I know I've known you for more than 10 years because when I opened my first bar in 2009, I did copy you on something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so at Father's Office, I know that there's a rule of like if someone else for ketchup on their burger, you don't allow it. And
well, we don't serve it.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's no
People
ketchup.
do bring their own. We see it. Yeah, I think there's, you're as a chef, you're in the business of. I always try to think of it this way. There's a lot of most commercially available food, restaurant food, is just the dishes and recipes that have existed. Caesar salad, pizza, nothing wrong with those things. Steakhouse. Yeah. They're just dishes that are just have ongoing life, and you don't need to reinvent. You don't need to necessarily innovate. A good ribeye steak, a well-sourced piece of meat, hot grill, seasoning, nice sides, good wine, right? As long as you adhere to certain standards. There's no creativity, is what I'm trying to say. Most restaurants don't sell creativity. I always try to think of it as like, what's my business? What business I'm in? I try not to think of myself as someone in the food business. I try to think of it as, it sounds dorky because it's like you would say like, oh, you're in the idea business.
I would never say that.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't want. That's not. I think.
But I know what you mean.
I think I'm in the business of expression, using food as a medium to express myself.
I'd say you're in the experience business. Wouldn't you? I mean, don't you think if you're saying that you're creating some and look, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but if you're,
I think you are.
Then disagree. But you're creating something that you believe should be consumed in a certain way, experienced in a certain way.
Yeah, it's an expression. I have an expression. I was like, this is kind of how I'd like it. It doesn't mean, I'm forbidding you. Like, everyone has choices. Yeah. But it's just like any type of expression. You have people you identify, like musicians, and even,
Right. No one's asking a musician to be like, play that now in a country style.
Right. I just don't take requests. That's kind of what it is. Like, I'm not a request taker. We also don't do any substitutions.
Well, tell me about that. So what if someone's gluten-free? Fuck them?
Well, by the way, that's a very recent, much more recent, the whole people.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just, you live in LA. Like this
No, I know, but it's become popular. Not, it's not like there's been this explosion of celiac disease. It's just really become more of a, lifestyle, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. People avoiding gluten or,
And you are like...
Also, there's more science about it. There's been more science about maybe some sensitivity or, like, oh, you discovered that gluten isn't good for you. People, I don't know how many people who come in the door are actually getting tested for this stuff.
It'd be weird if you asked.
Yeah, but I think because we live in social media land, a lot of this is like, oh yeah. It's like watching one of those drug commercials. Like, do you fidget a lot? Do you? Are you sad sometimes? It sounds like you have every.
You must
disease.
be depressed.
Yeah, this must be. Yes. Yeah, I must have this. So I think maybe people think they're gluten sensitive or something like that. I don't know.
That doesn't answer the question
Oh,
though.
regards to substitutions?
Yeah. Well, no, regards to like someone was like something like that.
Oh, we ask them to. Well, we offer them things that have that would meet their dietary restrictions.
Okay, so if I wanted the burger, I could get on like a gluten-free.
You can have the steak. You can have. There's like a million. No, well, you can just not eat the bun. That'd be your choice, but we won't accommodate. Right. Yeah, and there's also like the way the onions are cooked. There's potentially some trace amount of gluten in the.
That's fair.
Vinegar contains.
At least it's good. Like
Yeah. It's not just the bread. There's gluten. Yeah. There's gluten in soy sauce.
But yes, there is.
Right, but I see people eating sushi and they're like, I can't have gluten. But what about the soy sauce? Oh, no, I mean, it's not a lot of gluten.
And the reason I ask is not because I'm trying to I'm not doing, this is not a gotcha journalism podcast. This is more like a conversation on this because I would imagine as someone who doesn't want to allow substitutions, that becomes challenging. And not just with the burger, like with anything you're doing.
Sure.
How do you as a chef choose to or not choose to adapt to those things?
Well, there's certain things just you can't change. Like you've made a dish, you've introduced an ingredient to a dish. Mm-hmm. As you know, in restaurants, things are cooked in batches.
Yeah.
So, if we make a thing of sauce and there's vinegar in this, gallon of sauce, there's no way to retroactively go back and, we've made it. So there's things that are not, unless it was started from the beginning to intend it to not have anything. It's hard to just on the fly just make one or two with or without something, or people sometimes don't realize that.
Well, and my thing on gluten is not fair because there are plenty of other things that people would come to you with, right? Oh, I'm allergic to tomatoes and nightshades. I'm allergic to this. I'm allergic to that. Like, if you start to accommodate everything, you have 12.
And religion, that's the other big one that's been.
Oh yeah.
Religion's always been.
And so bacon.
Right.
I mean that just makes me sad, but you're correct. So I'm more curious as how anyone, not just yourself, like how restaurants deal with this, as there are myriad things come at you that you can't prevent, right? You can't be like, oh, the new thing is no one eats I don't know, like pepper. Right. Like, oh, okay,
sure,
we're not going to take pepper out of everything,
right?
Like, do you and your chef colleagues ever like smash walls about this? Like,
we bitch about it, yeah. There's always, anytime chefs get together, we can you believe, But you see, anytime something becomes faddish, now look at all the vegan restaurants are open. Look at all these, these alternative, different. There's more available, especially in big cities, LA and New York, especially.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. If you live in some small town in Middle America, maybe you don't have, a vegan restaurant in your town, but you come to LA, but it's just like any business, you decide how much of an audience. Like the thing is, this can't please everybody. So there's no way you can't make every single.
You can't
person
boil the ocean, and totally.
Right. We can't boil the ocean.
Boil the ocean means you can't like please it. You can't like make it all like the ocean's so wide.
Yes.
If you try to boil it, it would just destroy everything.
Oh, okay.
And so,
I thought we're doing a pretty good job of boiling it, but
we are, but it's slow. It's
very slow boil.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah. So I think the thing is to kind of create an expression and stick to it. It's all you can really do.
Yeah.
Because you can go into this business and industry knowing you can't please everyone.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no way. No matter how hard you try, even if you make it like I'm going to try to please everyone every single day, you still can't. There's still fundamental limitations. You can't have every ingredient. You can't possibly leave something out, because basically then your menu has to be there can be no real fixed menu.
Right.
You have to leave every dish open to an interpretation.
So how does this? Let's talk about like this and the journey of cooking, because or becoming a chef, because I mean obviously you're incredibly classically trained. You're well educated in the world of food. Where does that come from for you? So you're originally you're from South Korea, is that right?
I was born in South Korea, but yeah, my family immigrated when I was a baby. So by the time I got here, it was like, I wasn't even 2 years old yet.
So not a lot of influence growing up there.
Oh, not much, no. I don't have fond memories.
Okay. Do you move to LA? Where in LA, or where'd you move to?
Yeah, my family immigrated originally to New York, but then I grew up in LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part of LA?
The West Side.
So you really
Santa
stayed
Monica,
west.
Brentwood. Yeah. No, I mean, I've lived other places, but in LA, the West Side's always been home.
And so growing up in like the 70s, 80s, in where California cuisine really started in that like late 70s, early 80s, is that right?
Yeah, the West Coast, yeah. Yeah, Alice Waters, Jeremiah Tower, yeah. The place in LA that I wanted to work for that very reason, because of the historical significance, Michael's.
Mm-hmm. Which you did work at some point.
I was chef at Michael's, and that opened in '79. It's actually turning 45 this year. And still.
So you're in LA in the 70s, 80s, and is food a part? Like, what kind of food is part of your life, or does it matter to you at all?
Yeah, no. I mean, I had two parents who worked a lot, so and they both worked internationally, and I'm an only child, so I got left alone a lot.
That explains
Probably not
so
legal.
Much.
Yeah, I got left alone
you're
a
an
lot.
Only child, yeah.
Yeah, but I got left alone a lot, and I'm sure that the amount of time I got left alone at the ages I got left alone probably wasn't or shouldn't be legal, but I was.
Not like latchkey kid, just alone.
Yeah, it wasn't locked into anything, but yeah, there was a lot of you'll be fine.
How old? 7, 6, 3?
I think I was left alone, with my parents in other countries, probably since I was about 10.
In other countries?
Yeah. I mean, I had people looking after me, but still I was in a house by myself at 10 years old.
And what are you doing?
whatever I wanted.
That you can talk about.
Yeah, I mean, whatever I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always found that because I had, there's two sides of me, Gemini, which is I think true. I like arts and artistic expressions, but I'm also like a stickler for like chemistry and science. So I always thought that cooking is interesting because it's both. To cook well, you must adhere to physics and temperature, and there's a lot of chemistry to it. And there's a lot of psychological things to it, how the chemistry affects your brain, the sugar, the salt, the pleasure triggers. And then there's just like the artfulness of it. There's just like the expression. You can make something, colors, shapes. I've always been a fan of architecture. So I think all these kind of like things I liked as a kid, all like drawing, all those things kind of coalesced into cooking. I just found that cooking allows me to, do the things I natively like to do.
Were you doing things, and not just mean like when you're like alone at home, but like as a kid, whether it's cooking or anything else that kind of started to like show through those things? Did you have like any artistic things you did outside of cooking, or did you start anything with your friends that like started to get the idea that you would be able to be creative and make something out of that?
Yeah, I mean, I started cooking for fun since I was a kid. I like drawing. I was forced to play music, piano, because that's what Koreans make. They make you do stuff like that against your will. I never got really good at it.
Classical piano?
Yeah. I rejected it. But no, it's not like there wasn't any profession that I thought as a kid like, hey, I wanted that I really was passionate about. This is kind of it. I think if it wasn't this, I don't know what else there'd be. Yeah. Even though I think about it now, you're like, what else could I have done?
But did you think of it as a profession? Like, could you have?
I did. I actually thought about it as a profession. And before there was anything like Food Network, it was like Julia Child. There was very little like media, like chefs.
That's why I'm asking. Like, Julia Child probably is the first.
Oh yeah, especially in America. Yeah. And I watched Jacques Pepin, and then later on, Emeril Lagasse was like the first guy on Food Network. Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of, when I first started, and once I made the decision, it wasn't like nowadays everyone wants to, get famous at it, be on TV and stuff.
But that wasn't your goal.
Well, there was no version of it. There was even if I wanted to be, there was no avenue to do that, and then. So I wasn't in it for fame.
Right. Well, because I have talked to a bunch of chefs about like how they get into this stuff, and I'm always curious about it, because like even as someone who I wish I'd gone to culinary school. But I was like you, alone in the house, cooking by myself, and more dangerously probably than I should have.
Yeah. I did some ill-advised things.
Yeah, same. And I think about that a lot. And there was no food TV. It was like, I mean, we're not too far apart in age, and like I remember like being alone, being like, well, I got all the ingredients here and no parents here, so I'm just gonna start making stuff. And we had cookbooks in the house. Like, did you have cookbooks to like start from?
Yeah. Well, my mom, because she was in fashion, my mom had this amazing talent. She was a terrible cook, but because she was all about aesthetics, what my mom was, she got cookbooks that had pictures, and she could recreate the photos perfectly. She could garnish and make the dishes, so you'd come home and you're like, wow, this, it's just like right out of the cookbook.
Yeah.
But she completely skipped the recipe part. Right? She didn't adhere to anything, but somehow she managed to get it to.
It's a literal Top Chef challenge, except for the flavor part of it.
Right, except it didn't taste good. Yeah. So my mom made very, like inedible food that looked very visually pleasing.
That's so funny.
Right. So it did.
And were you like, I'm gonna go with the flavor side?
Yeah. But I was admirable that she could make food look so tasty.
So as you kind of go through things, when do you decide I'm gonna, like, for real, this is my, like, I'm pursuing this as a career?
Yeah, I think teens, early teens, I really love the idea of throwing a party, like the idea of entertaining, because we didn't really entertain a lot at home, but it's just, I don't know, it felt right. It just felt like I wanted to.
What does throwing a party to you then as a teenager mean? Because I feel like for some people that means something very different than you're going to tell me.
Okay, so this is the crazy part. I don't know, because I never did any like acid in any real measurable quantity, but this is where the whole like have you been alive before, the previous life? Because I used to have this childhood dream. I haven't had this dream since I was a kid, but I remember this dream very vividly. It was from the POV of someone overseeing a grand ballroom, something with chandeliers, cut crystal, diners wearing tuxedos, and I kept having this recurring dream. I don't know, like 8, 10 years old, and I would notice in these incredible, these dreams would be very long and very detailed, to the point where it was like, I feel like I've been there. And it felt like I was on like a luxury cruise liner going back, 100 years. And there's no reason why, because I never like watched old movies. I don't know where have I seen this for, and I don't know why I liked it, but it felt like I was presiding over this party. And I would notice details, like I would notice like a lady reaching into her bag, pulling out a silver cigarette case, and I would watch as she would like pull the cigarette to her lips, and there'd be, boom, the waiter would be there, Johnny on the spot, with his gold Tiffany lighter. Click. So vivid, so specific. I would notice these things, and I learned almost about what does good service mean? What does it mean to anticipate
From your dream.
a guest's need? Yeah, as a child. And I just kept having these versions of this dream. And basically, by the time I was like in high school, I could tell you, having never worked in a restaurant, having never been a waiter, having never been alive in those times, like what it should feel like to be taken care of. Like I could tell you. So it was a weird superpower that I'm like, I didn't know how to cook. I mean, eventually I learned how to cook, but I just kind of wanted that. Right. I felt like I wanted to preside over a party like that. So I said, fuck it, let's, how do you learn that? So I decided that, you have to go to the, to seek out the finest in the world. I need to find my Yoda.
I mean, that's a good analogy. Yoda's that's your
who's the
master,
Yoda, right? Yeah. Where does Yoda, of cooking live? And it turned out to be Paris.
Did you work in restaurants before you went there?
No, I did not. That was my.
So you never worked in the food industry before you went to Paris?
No, that's not true. I worked at 31 Baskin Robbins.
That does count. Yes.
Okay, I mean it counts. Right, so I did scoop ice cream, yeah.
I mean, that's where, you are starting to serve people and realize how horrible they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked briefly, like months, at a restaurant in San Francisco. This was my first attempt to go to culinary school, which I didn't make it through, but I did work for a few months in a very well-known restaurant in San Francisco called Stars. It was Chef Jeremiah Tower, who's legend in the business, and I got a couple months, but after that it was off to Europe.
You tried to go to culinary school in California first?
I did, yeah, unsuccessfully.
And what didn't work?
Wasn't the right environment. It was.
You were at
I didn't
CSA
fit in.
or?
Yeah, I forgot what it was called back then.
I guess
it changed names.
Sure.
Yeah, but I didn't like it. I was really impatient. I was kind of a dick. Huh. As a kid.
Yeah.
As a teenager. Yeah. I didn't like it. I was a little too. I don't know.
But I think about like Paris and like how in the French culinary world and how rule following it is. And the reason you're saying you're a dick, it's like I can only imagine it's more strict there than it would have been in California at the time.
Yeah. No, culinary school wasn't very strict at all, and
okay.
I think I was more strict about it, and I just needed to work for someone who was more strict.
I see.
Who was actually going to hold me accountable, as opposed to some dumb school.
Yeah.
So you don't need to go to culinary school.
So you decided to go to Paris.
Yeah.
How old are you?
18.
18.
Yeah.
That's a big move.
Yeah.
It's a significant decision to be like, all right, I don't know what's ahead of me, and like, I don't know where you were and like where your family was, but it seems like a big change.
It's a big change. Yeah. My mom worked in Paris, so we had like family connections and stuff there. She did, but. Yeah, I never lived in Paris. I barely spoke. I only spoke a little French. I'd taken it like a semester of it in junior high. So it's not like I had some French background. But look, the language is food, And the language is, you do what you're told. Someone shows you, whether it's through words or someone can just say, hey, take this and do this to it, okay. And, you don't need to speak French to go work in a French kitchen if you're technically proficient. But in the beginning, you're not.
I was like, you weren't proficient.
Yeah. No. You're cleaning things. You don't do a lot. You don't do anything sexy.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it's a lot of scrubbing. It's a lot of peeling. It's a lot of dirty work. No one starts off as a chef. No one gets to sauce anything. Or,
right.
Yeah. Greet the guests. There's nothing. Right. There's no accolades. There's a lot of like deep. And like. Back of the kitchen, dungeon, New York City, it's all about like downstairs.
Yeah.
In the basement. A lot of work.
Anthony Bourdain used to talk about how like everyone would, like, and he first started out, it was just you're doing nothing.
Out of sight. No one sees you.
Yeah. So when you get there, you're 18, you had a job, how did you get a job at a restaurant?
Because I wasn't paid.
That helps.
Right. So the old system in the places that had a lot of Michelin stars, they could get away with not paying a good percentage of their staff because people wanted to just work there and they would work on a volunteer basis. The unfortunate thing is they could still fire you. So although they didn't pay you, they still held you to it. So it was meant to be temporary. You could work there for 6 months on like a trial basis. You can work as a commis, which is, you're basically scum, and you're not paid, and you're very easily replaceable. But you have to do that, right? Because they let you do that. So it's the thing that you couldn't pay for. It's like if what I did 30 some years ago was available, everyone would want to do it. Because, people are like, this is so cool. I want to get abused. I want to get yelled at. I want to learn from the best. But they don't let you, they don't let you. I think like everyone on Instagram, like all the influencers want to go get like yelled at by a French chef.
Right.
I don't know why that would be.
It would be Instagram.
Be like a weird like thing to say, I did this. But it's like a boot camp kind of thing.
Well, I think boot camps, it's a great analogy because you're kind of going there for the most part because you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work my way through it.
Right.
And if you make it through it, you get to the next level. If you don't, then,
But in restaurants and everything, that's no longer the environment, especially, even in France. So there's no like abusive environment. It's really calmed down. That's all gone away.
Do you think it's better or worse? Or for the better or worse, I should say.
Well, not abusing people is better, yes.
I'm glad to hear that.
But I do, it makes me sound old school, but having gone through it, I appreciate it because it did shape me. Having someone that strict lording over you, and like threatening you is probably not, there's got to be a line, but I think having someone have very, very exacting standards over you is a good thing. And I think a lot of that has gone away, and I think that's probably for the worse.
I do wonder about I don't like to say coddledness of people. So if you think about the way the world is today, what methods do you use, or do chefs use now that can be as effective but aren't as, let's say, challenging?
Yeah, no, well, that's part of creativity. That's part of not just being creative, like what ends up on a plate or what ends up in a glass, not about just a recipe, but like creatively finding ways to inspire people as we evolve, because people need to have different buttons pushed. You just need to yell at me and get in my face. That inspired me. That was like, yes, chef. Okay, I'll do it. Nowadays, maybe we have to find different ways to get the same results. So that.
What do you do?
I hire people who are better at it than I do. Like, can you talk to him? Because I'm not really getting through. Maybe, like younger people. No, it's not true. I've. It's not to say I've softened. It's not like I haven't softened anything. I still want what I want. It's just, you got to learn. It's like learning a new language. Just, you got to try to connect, get through. Just requires a different perspective. But I don't think we have to compromise. I don't think it's a compromise.
Oh yeah,
I'm
not talking about compromise. I'm just talking about, like you said, adapting and tactics. Let's say.
Sure, just a different game plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's all about still. Hey, if you want to win, you still win. But there's more than one way to do it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's good.
All right. So while you're in France and you're getting yelled at, or maybe you weren't, I don't know.
I was getting yelled at. Oh yeah, no, yeah. Well, I mean, I was lucky. I was only yelled at because people I work with, I've seen like even physical abuse. Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, like kicking in the nuts.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Choking.
What
Choking
merits?
is a form of like workplace motivation. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine someone choking someone till they turn blue?
I actually, first restaurant I ever worked in, the owner and his sister were in charge, and the reason I quit this restaurant was because he choked her and threw her across the room.
Oh, nice.
While I was there.
Oh.
And I was like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I've seen choking in restaurants. Yeah, I've seen a lot of throwing, a lot of I mean, yelling was like
That's the least of it.
People you get yelled at. Like, yeah, I beg to get yelled at. Getting yelled at is like, good job.
Well, so you're 18 or 19 doing this and working the 6 months and not getting paid and getting yelled at, like, obviously you still believe that this is what you want to do.
It did not dissuade me.
Right.
No.
So
it felt right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not the yelling part, maybe, but.
No, because, I had like, pretty, highly strung parents who were very like successful in their own worlds and their, so yeah, it felt at home. I was like, this is not a cultural shock to me at all. It felt kind of good, but it was. Look, sometimes some people are different. Some people want to be held accountable. They want to. They want their feet, held to the fire. They want it. Some people still want it. Some people want. Not everyone is soft.
No, and everyone. I think
we say that.
Everyone, I think, finds a different way to absorb knowledge and get educated, right? So how do you? So you didn't get fired from the 6 months. You made it through. So what happened?
I got a paying job. That was the other thing.
That seems like the right thing to do.
Well, that's like saying you went through Navy SEAL training.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to kill you, or you're supposed to quit because you think it's going to kill you, so you're supposed to bow out. But if you make it to the other side, you get a paying job. So I feel like I got SEAL training. I feel like I was. This is where like most people fail, but the very few, like the 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way the kitchen was divided, there was 22 cooks. Well, there's 22 people in the kitchen. 11 of them are paid and 11 are not. So most people just filter through the unpaid. And to crack the lineup of the 11, it felt like I was in the majors. It's like I'm in the show.
Yeah.
Because you're now paid by the best restaurant in the world.
What restaurant was this?
Jaman.
So yeah, it's a great restaurant at the time. Yeah, of course.
Robuchon's first restaurant.
Yeah. But so to work under Robuchon, so Robuchon was the guy. It was your guy.
Yeah.
And so, like what was your journey
and
there?
Ducasse. And worked for Ducasse. Yeah.
Alain Ducasse. And
I worked for Ducasse after him. Shorter period, but yeah. So I'm both. I have.
So Robuchon was first, though.
First, yeah.
So that's your 6 months, and then.
No, a year and a half because I stayed.
No, I was going to 6 months, and then the next.
Well,
thing.
it was supposed to be 6 months, but it ended up staying longer because I got paid big money. No, not really. Not a lot of money.
What is? I don't even want to name a number because I can't. I'm going to be wrong. Whatever I say.
What?
Like, what are you getting paid once you? Get paid?
Shit. And what do you get paid as a cook in 1990? I don't know.
I'm going to be wrong about whatever I say.
I don't know. It was like $400 a week, $300-400 a week, something like that.
Oh, it's more than I was going to say.
$300 a week, something like that. I think it was around $300 a week. I'm roughly, but it was like 14-hour days. Right. So it's not a day.
Right. And do you get meals there or no?
Yeah, no, of course. It's a like very familial, like clique. To work in a restaurant that elite, there's restaurants turn into families, and everyone knows each other, fucks each other, or whatever. But no, like in a setting like that, it felt like I was in the greatest fraternity on campus.
Yeah.
I just felt like.
Are there peers that you think about now that are like in your same level that are like we're part of that? I don't use the word class, but that world in France, Paris at the time.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of chefs who've gone through that type of experience. New York a lot here. Yeah, there's a lot of chefs who have but you have to be now like a certain age have gone through that period.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like I think about because I know a lot of the people in the culinary world are. I don't know if the word friends is right, but like everyone knows each other. A lot of people know each other. Like, are there people that you worked with that are kind of in that same world right now?
Oh,
That you
yeah.
kind of came up together. Like, who's like, comedians talk about this. Like, who is coming up with you? You know, like
Oh, in LA?
yeah, or in the U.S. that you would know. Like,
Well, I mean, a lot of them. I mean, in LA, Josiah, Citron, Melise, yeah, Ludo, so there's Suzanne Goin, there's a bunch of people used to work for Wolfgang, Neil Frazier, he has a restaurant Redbird downtown, Walter Mansky, Republique, another guy, he was at Patina back in the day. I remember being, a lot of us were chefs or chef de cuisines in our late 20s.
Yeah.
And then there's a handful of us who, of course, Michael Sumarusti, Providence. Yeah, so we're kind of all in the same age group, and we all kind of came up through the ranks at the same time. So you feel that's like your class, like a class.
Yeah,
in school.
that's like there's a camaraderie there.
Oh yeah. But it's as big a city as LA is, it's still a very small clique.
And I imagine that like there's this in tech we have this thing where like if you're a good founder, you exit, you always help the next generation. You always like maybe they worked with you, maybe they're hungry and they want to do something. You always want to like ensure that that you can impart whatever knowledge you have into the next people. Is that kind of similar in the restaurant world or?
Yeah, oh yeah. There's a lot of people who come through, and they've learned from you, and you love to see when you see someone who's worked with you a long time, they succeed, they open their own shop.
Like you worked with Brooke Williamson.
Yeah, she was my sous a
right.
long time ago.
Like my wife and I are big fans of Brooke. That's awesome.
Yes.
And been to her restaurants many times and watch her on the Food Network.
Yeah, she was my sous chef when we were like children. She was literally like a teenager.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, she was like 18, 19 years old.
Like when you see someone like that, do you see that's a protege or like a person because I do
frenemies.
They become frenemies.
Frenemies, yeah. But I mean, like usually there's like a 10 to 15 year age gap. There's like the next generation.
Yeah.
And then you look at them and you're like, when I was your age, this is inevitable when you have those conversations.
It is. But you find them and you're like, I see that you're going to be a star.
Right, but some people, but I bet it's rare that you say you're going to make it, and most people, you probably go, you'll never make it.
That's 100% true.
That's true, right? It's the same with us.
Oh yeah.
No, you'll never make it. Yeah.
That's what
I identified immediately. You see the kitchen crew, you're like, you have a shot. You not so much.
Yeah.
It's attitude, And
it's sad to be cutthroat like that, but it's very true.
Well, the business is cutthroat. If you're it's pretty very well delineated. It takes very few will succeed. That's right. It's the nature of the game.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you come back to the U.S. and you come to California, right? And how long is it until you get your dream job at Michael's?
Well, I worked for Wolfgang Puck for a few years, and then
No sludge there.
No. Maybe you've heard of him.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was interesting. That was in the 90s, and I definitely needed to work in that organization because it taught me a lot. It opened a lot of, I was like, wow, because it's, different.
Was it Spago or somewhere else?
Xinhua, which is the Chinese restaurant, very popular at the time. Still open. That's another thing I realized that other than Robuchon, who passed away, the restaurants I've worked in, they're all still open.
Within like multiple new generations.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. Like Michael still open, Xinhua still open. Like, wow, it's crazy. Like I worked there so long ago, like over 20 years ago, and they're still there, which is, I think, I don't know, that's just dumb luck, but
I don't know that it's dumb luck.
No, I love longevity. I mean, I've been in business now 20 some years, but it's crazy that these places that I like cut my teeth in, they're still there.
And so when you as I one thing I don't understand, I want to make sure I get my timeline right. And what part in this story do you do the cooking in the award show period? the
Awards?
the Oscars and stuff like that. You've done work cooking. Was that with Wolfgang or that was somewhere else?
Yeah, well, Wolfgang in LA, he handles like the Oscars.
Right,
He does
yeah,
the governor's
yeah,
ball.
yeah.
I've worked a few of those.
That seems like an overwhelming experience.
Yeah, but it's real short. The Oscars it's a couple hours, and then the governor's ball
But
is
the planning isn't that.
the planning is intense.
That's what I'm talking
right,
about.
but it's it's like mercenary. It's like in and out. It's not like opening a restaurant. It's
right.
just,
You're planning a meal and you're cooking it for hundreds of people or whatever.
Yeah, but at these award shows, everyone is it's a very social setting. Mm-hmm. No one's really thinking about. Everyone's wearing something that's like 2 sizes too tight. No one's eating anyway. So that's the thing about that's sort of the story behind the scenes of the Academy Awards is nobody eats.
Because you're not serving food at the awards.
Everyone's got like
after party in there.
Like who eats? The agents, the publicists.
The people who are not on camera.
Yeah. So like for every A-lister who's receiving an award or presenting, they have like a team of half a dozen people.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're eating.
They're eating.
Yeah. They're eating. Yeah.
So you're cooking for them.
Mainly them, right?
Yeah.
It's not like someone holding an Academy Award is like stuffing their face. I mean, it's really
But the
rare.
food's not even it's at after party, right?
It's the after party, yeah. And there's many places where food is served, but this is the crazy secret about award shows, like in the entertainment world. They get in their limos or Escalades, and they'll usually go to like a In-N-Out drive-through.
That's the story everyone talks about. Yeah,
that's what they do. Literally, it's true. So if you see, as soon as the Academy Awards are over, and then you'll see if it's at the Kodak Theater, like the In-N-Out at Sunset in Fairfax, it's just a line of black SUVs. It is.
So the secret is send your limo ahead of time to do the order for you.
Or send your assistant.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they'll get the In-N-Out order.
Because that seems way smarter than having to wait.
Because that's what people eat. Because no one's eating like the fancy like hors d'oeuvres and the things that we've made.
Right.
It's like that's just for, like I said, the publicists and the agents and.
That's so. I mean, that makes so much logical sense and yet bonkers at the same time.
Yeah. So it's not. I mean, I don't want to like burst anyone's bubble, but that's really what happens.
No, it's good to know. So let's go back to, so you go to Michael's, and this is what, the
late 90s.
Late 90s.
Yeah,
okay.
last couple of years.
How long were you there for?
2.5 years.
And this is the place. Like you wanted to get to Michael's. You said like you're in LA growing up. This is.
Yeah.
Once you get there,
what
is that experience like? Is it what you wanted? Is it?
No, well, it's a terrible story.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Listen to the terrible story.
So it's a terrible story because it's true. But so the chef at the time who hired me, not Michael himself, but the chef, he was, I tried out, I did my interviews, tried out, got the job, and then I was hired as a sous chef. And then when he, upon arrival on my first day of work, it turned out the chef, I learned that he wasn't going to be returning because he had a little bit of a substance problem. Yeah, painkillers, I think. And he was not, literally on my first day. So on my first day of work, I was given kind of a soft ultimatum, I'd call it, not like, so I was informed that the person who hired me that I was going to work with was no longer going to be there, and that I could either, opt out, like, no hard feelings. If you don't want to work here, it's fine.
Yeah.
Or maybe as young and enthusiastic, and also I was young, enthusiastic, and equally unqualified to run a kitchen.
Why do you think you were? Oh, to run a kitchen.
I wasn't ready to run a kitchen.
Oh yeah, no, you were.
I think I was.
You came there from where? From
From Chinois, from Wolfgang
yeah.
Puck, yeah. But I was still ready to be like number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when someone says, "Do you want to run the kitchen? Do you want to run the kitchen that you grew up in? Like, this is the greatest restaurant. This is one of the finest restaurants in America. This is where California cuisine, the term was coined here." It's a very important restaurant because I grew up around there, and it was like, holy shit, this is not what I was expecting. So I had to make kind of that decision. Do I try to do something that I don't think I'm prepared for? Or, and this is kind of a life lesson, is like, so I said, fuck it, what do you have to lose?
Fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah, I guess that was fake it till you make it. I definitely doubted myself. I definitely doubted myself. People were like, were you very confident? I'm like, no. I was super, super insecure about my ability to do it. And it's not like I killed it. So the first 6 months is I just kind of like, okay, let's see what you guys do here.
And are you using their own recipes or making up your own? Or?
Yeah, I mean, so I would call Waxman, like, what did you guys do back in the day? And it's like, we just did a bunch of blow. I have no idea. Don't call me anymore. Yeah, like, okay. I mean, look, you're kind of in your little dream job, like, and I guess you just let your instinct kick in. I don't know if I was faking it. I wasn't faking anything. I was doing everything I could possibly do. I wasn't holding anything back. I wasn't pretending. I was just like, okay, let's see if I can do this. But I think going back to the super high-end training I got super young, I let that kind of percolate to the top and kind of go, okay, you know what? You've been held to a very high standard. It's like, just be that. Just express yourself. Don't be insecure. Don't be scared. Like, you've been scared. Like, you've had people yell at you. Like, what's going to happen is like, okay, so in the beginning, I had issues because I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to yell at people. I'm not yelling. I must. Yeah. So I did a lot of.
You did a lot of the things.
Yeah, I did a lot. I got. Yeah. So
they were done
to
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got all that out of my system. But then I settled in, and I feel like I did a good job and brought a lot of positive accolades to the restaurant, and left it better than I found it. Which is ultimately.
Hey, that's the ultimate you want to do.
Yeah,
right.
That's what you want to do.
But so when you left Michael's is when you started the first Father's Office, right?
Yeah.
In Santa Monica. And what a different concept. Like, you didn't stay in that fine dining. I'm not saying the food wasn't great, but it was not fine dining. It
totally
was
different.
And I think a lot of chefs would be afraid to go in that route.
Yeah.
And what like made you think, okay, 2000, here we are, Santa Monica, kind of a like not the worst area in LA, but not like, it's not fancy or anything. It's like,
Well, it is now.
Not 24 years ago.
Yeah, no, less fancy. But
and I think your flagship is probably more the one next door here, but like the one that you started was a dive bar.
Yeah.
Why that? Like, is it to get away from all the stuff you've been doing at Michael's, or something different? Like, what prompts you to do that?
So there was a point of awakening where I realized that LA didn't have good casual food, and it reminded me of living in Europe and recognizing that in cities like Paris and Madrid, and there's places that the tapas bars in southern Spain, that there was good food to be had in very casual settings, and I just kind of dawned on me that didn't exist. That in cities like LA, where there was two things. If you wanted excellent food, you had to dress up, make a reservation, dress a certain way, go to a restaurant where you had to have a tablecloth, you had to use the correct silverware, know your way around a wine list, and you had to acquiesce. Your behavior had to, I call it best behavior dining. So in order to have like food from a trained professional chef with high quality ingredients, there was a contract that you entered into. It cost a lot of money, planned in advance, right? And all of this had to happen. So, or if you didn't ascribe to that, you were going to a bar, you were going to get wings, you're going to get a
burger, maybe
fries. You're going to get fried mozzarella sticks from Cisco.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was just
frozen
like,
food. That's
right. You're just eating reheated food.
Yeah, gross.
Right. And then it was that or like ethnic cuisine. So the question was, why can't I have food that of the quality, made by a professional, a highly trained professional, but without of the trappings associated to fine dining, like you could in other countries. So I said, well, what if I turned this bar that I was a regular in, and what if I cooked in a place like that? What if someone with my background were to cook in a place like this? And then that's when, shortly after I did this, then I discovered there was a place in London called the Eagle, which was known as the world's first gastropub. Yeah, where the two chefs with very high-end cooking backgrounds decided to open a bar, and I didn't know it existed. And then someone told me, "Have you heard of the Eagle in London? It's a gastropub," and I'd never heard the term gastropub. And then Turns out that I accidentally opened the first gastropub in America.
Yeah.
It was the same intention.
It's a term also that gets overused, but
now,
yeah, no, now.
I thought it was like a stomach ailment. It's like, what is a gastropub? I didn't. No, it's like ubiquitous now. But
it is, but it's overused now, and so it's. I think what you did was unique and is unique, and
yeah. Well, I took it too literally because it was like it's a bar that serves
Right.
food, not a restaurant with a lot of beer.
But you took it. If you look at what you did, the one in Santa Monica, and you look at the one here in Helms, like the one here feels elevated.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it feels like it doesn't feel like you're going to, 3 Michelin star restaurant, but you don't walk in and feel like you're in a dive bar.
Well, this one I built from scratch.
I know,
The other one
I
was
know.
just like that's how it looked.
No, I know.
I inherited that one.
But you made the choice when you built this one to say we're going to do it a little differently.
Yeah.
We're going to make it nice.
Yeah.
So
We wanted to be
you kind
nice.
of leaned into the gastropub at that point.
I feel like I did. Yeah, I felt like it should feel a little bit premium. It should feel a little bit nicer. It shouldn't feel like you're disgusting. You could go on a date there. You can,
Right.
it's not just where the guys hang out. It shouldn't be like sawdust on the floor and like darts.
Right.
I felt like it shouldn't be littered with TVs. It shouldn't be a sports bar. It should be a little more serious. It should be like you're there for what we offer, less of a hangout.
Right.
And then I wanted it to be more purposeful. So, but the same thing, price point wise, I'm not coming anywhere near fine dining, But here's the crazy thing: we use the same ingredients, we have the same vendors. From fine dining,
for luxury next door.
Yeah, so it's the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same food.
So this actually this is where I kind of get really curious about a lot more things. So, when did you win the burger thing for the first time? The best burger in LA contest for the first time. Was it 2010?
The first time I ever entered a competition about a burger was in 2005.
And why did you feel like you needed to do that?
So I went to New York because I was on the Today Show.
Okay.
And I won. And it was like burgers from around the country.
You were like invited to go on and do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
right. But it was like a burger competition. We're sitting in Rockefeller Center like in February, and we're just cooking, and it was like Matt Lauer and Katie Couric and and all these people, and there was someone from New York City who was there too, and I won unanimously. Best burger. I was like given some odd trophy that I no longer have. I was awarded the best burger in America.
In America, that's right.
In America, by authority of the Today Show.
I mean, if there's any authority around the burger, it's Matt Lauer is the one you want to trust.
Right. No, he knows. He knows. Yeah. Al Roker.
I would trust Al Roker more.
He was still fat then.
I would trust
he was
Al
an
Roker
authority.
on that one. Yeah.
He was an authority.
Yeah.
But that was crazy. That was obviously a few years in, but we got in every guidebook, best this. I got into a very famous. This is kind of how our friendship started. Daniel Boulud, Esquire magazine, 2002. My burger was ranked higher than Daniel Boulud's Cafe Boulud black truffle foie gras burger. Mm-hmm. That at the time was an atrociously high $30.
Remember that?
It was like $30, and I was like, oh.
Because then he opened DBGB.
Yeah.
And which was in my building. I went to the opening of that.
Oh, so he opened that on my birthday?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he told his entire staff that I was inspired by me in Father's office.
Oh,
yeah.
That's nice. Your burger, and I say this not to blow smoke up your ass because I would never do that because
You wouldn't.
I would not.
No, I know you wouldn't. No,
I went to the opening of that place, and I will tell you that I tried every burger they had.
Yeah. So, it's funny, he wouldn't. So I remember going to DBGB when it first opened. I literally had been open a couple weeks. And he had instructed his staff not to serve me a burger. So I was not allowed to eat a burger. I didn't get to eat a burger there for quite some time.
Shut up.
Right.
They had 3 burgers on the menu.
No, I remember, and I asked Danielle specifically. I was like, "Well, why won't you serve me a burger?" And he goes, "I can't take the criticism."
All right, I know we're running out of time. A couple things. I want to talk about Top Chef All Stars, mostly. Masters.
Yes.
Sorry, Masters. Uh-huh. One, because I'd love to text you during it, but mostly, but obviously I wasn't texting you during it because it was way after it happened. But you and I talked about this one time, and I'm so curious about. It's very different than the regular Top Chef.
Very.
Yeah. In that
it's all for charity.
Well, that's also part of it. But also, Top Chef happens in like 10 days or 14 days, whatever. Like they do it very quickly. But you guys are all doing many things, so you have to space it out over time, right? Mm-hmm. So what was your experience on Masters? Like how did that come about? And like, it seems exhausting, honestly.
Yeah, it was exhausting. I got dragged into it.
How did you get dragged into it?
Well, I judged the first season of it, and I've judged other seasons of regular Top Chef.
Sure.
They'd asked me a couple times. There was 5 seasons of Masters, and my season was the last one they shot.
Kind of.
Yeah, I ended. Yeah, I blew it up after.
Pretty much.
Yeah. No more. Yeah, no mas. So my friend Chef Chris Cosentino from San Francisco, he won the season prior, and he was instrumental, and a few other chefs were instrumental in like saying, you should do it, because I was asked to do it. I'm like, you should do it, just do it. And I was very resistant because I didn't think I'd be any good at it.
Why not?
Because I don't think like the quick fires terrify me because I don't think that way. I'm too much of a planner.
Yeah.
I need to be organized. I need to collect my thoughts. If you just said like, here's some random ingredients, make something, go. That's not me. It's just as a person, I need, So by the time like everyone's done, I'd still be like, well, here's some ideas. So I really thought, holy shit, not only can I not make a dish, I don't think I'd settle on an idea. So to me, it was absolutely terrifying so a couple chef friends of mine just were like, okay, look, just go. Like, forget about your insecurities, just do it. And same thing, you're put in a position and you just rely on your instincts.
And you're with your peer, like most of the chefs there? Or
no? I knew several of them. I didn't know all of them.
Yeah.
But I got to be like even better friends with Douglas Keane. Obviously, we became like BFFs. But yeah, no, there was a lot of people I respect. David Burke.
Oh yeah,
fucking David Burke. No, like fucking David Burke.
That guy's an incredible chef.
I mean, but he's a different generation. He's older, but he's a legend. That guy's. And
you're cooking next to him.
Yeah, the guy's a New York City legend. Like, this guy intimidates the shit out of me. It's like, yeah. And some people I'd never heard of, but they were all really great chefs.
Did you find that like someone like David Burke, anyone who's like you've known about, is in just the same position you are? Where like, I don't know what this is all like. This is going to be. Just
that's the thing is we're out of our comfort zones. We're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Like we had episode 1, they made us skydive.
That seems a lot.
Yeah. So you jump out of a plane and then you land.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and then go cook, and you're just jacked on adrenaline because you're.
So that's not faked. Like you're really like you're landing, and they're like, "All right, time to go cook."
Go cook. Go take your parachute off, and you're just.
At that point, you're like, "I did not sign up for this." You get being yelled at in the kitchen in France. Fine.
Yeah, you want to like fight somebody after you land. I don't know if you wear a parachute, but you want to like fight. You're like, who wants to fight?
The adrenaline. You landed. You're like, I'm alive. Like.
It's gnarly.
It's next.
It's so crazy. You're like, I'm going again. This time I'm going without the parachute. Yeah, it was.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But it was it was a fun experience overall. But yeah, it was very stressful, and it does test you because it has nothing to do with your professional life.
Right.
There's nothing to do with it.
Because you spend time as a chef like thinking about flavors and working on them. And I remember going to your test kitchen years ago. And you were working on things, and we tasted things, and they were delicious. And you were like, "Yeah, I still got to do this, and this." And I'm like, "Oh, it's pretty good right now."
But you can't edit.
Yeah,
you take one swing. It's like I have an idea. Here's what I think I can make in this amount of time in 23 minutes or whatever it is. And then how long does this take to cook?
Right.
And you just go, and you don't think about it, and you have to do it. And
you made it pretty far, though.
Yeah, I made it just about to the end, which is. I guess, yeah. I went, Right?
Most people don't make it that far.
No. Yeah, I made it to just before the finale. But it was, I was surprised that I could do it.
Yeah.
That I could actually.
Would you ever do any of the other, like Tournament of Champions or any of those other games? Or
probably not, yeah.
It's not your thing?
No.
Okay.
I think that one time was it. It was for charity, which was great. Yeah, I won a lot of money for Worldwide Orphans Foundation. So there was a reason for doing it. And my dad's big into supporting orphanages. So to me, it was very personal, but no, I don't think I'm cut out for the competition world. It's not
what you came into cooking.
No, it's certainly not. But I think for some people, some people, that's their livelihood. Right. It gives them a career.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
No, it's fine. Just
So,
not that guy.
so the last thing I want to talk about before we go, it's actually something we brought up earlier, and I didn't actually mean this to be the last thing we talk about, but it just happens to be on the list. So I really was psyched when you opened up Two Birds, One Stone up in Napa, whatever that was, 2019, 18?
16.
Was it 16, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
Now I feel old. And I know it didn't last too long, unfortunately. But what I think the important thing for anyone who goes into this business is understand, like, you never know what's going to work and what's not going to work.
Well, yeah, and that specifically was doing just fine, and then 6 months later it was a big fire. You remember?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a series
Those
of
happen
fires.
up there.
Yes,
Yeah.
Fire, and then the next year was a fire,
Yeah.
and the next year was a fire. There was 3 consecutive years, and then COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
Not great. Not a great thing for anything.
Right. So it had and didn't you weren't you a victim of the fire?
Yeah, I was a victim of the fire during COVID, September 2020. Yeah, house burnt down.
Yeah. So it's awful.
Awful.
So yeah, these places are.
But the unpredictability of things, you never know. I mean, could be audience, could be natural disaster, could be whatever.
So we never really had a fighting chance. When that happens, the next 3 or 4 years consecutively, when the town is shut down around you and all the tourism dries up, there's not a lot of it doesn't matter how good a restaurant you are.
Right. But I think it's important for people to understand, because there have been so many wonderful restaurants I've been to in my life and you've been to, and we know people have opened, that it doesn't matter how amazing you are. You never know what's going to hit.
Never know.
Right.
Yeah. You don't know. You don't know got to find an audience. You never know. Sometimes, this is the beautiful thing about it is there's places that you would never go. There's places you would never go. And sometimes the restaurant will define, is the reason why people go to some place.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Look at Yountville.
Yeah.
What was Yountville before Thomas Keller?
Nothing.
What was there?
No, maybe some wineries.
It's like the sleepiest place in the world. Who would ever, it's like you drive by it. You wouldn't even.
He owns basically Yountville.
Yeah, but he gave it its reason for being.
Oh yeah.
All the other businesses around it are a result of the success and longevity of French Laundry and Bouchon, and there's 4 little businesses created an entire town.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting identity thing. There's places like that in Europe where the restaurant is the town.
I mean, Noma was that, I think.
There's a lot of places like this you can look at.
Not just that place, but there are so many good. And I actually kind of love when food becomes a destination.
Yeah, it's special when food defines a place, because and I think that's what inspires someone to travel somewhere. And it's I love that there's such a thing as culinary tourism. You don't go for a museum or.
No, that's why I travel. I travel for food.
Yeah. So there's a donut shop in Tokyo that I would go to Tokyo just to eat this donut.
What's the name of it?
It's called I Am Donut.
I Am Donut. What's a good name?
Yeah.
We'll name check that in the episode.
It's epic. I didn't realize I would find it, but I was like, I'd come back here just to eat this donut.
Is it a flavor of donut or just
there's lots of different flavors of donuts.
Okay.
But yeah, they make a lemon donut that'll change your life.
Cool.
And I've never said that about a donut.
I don't think I've said that about many things, but that's
there's
that's
some
what food
things
can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be conscious of your time.
Yes.
This place is opening in, let's say, the next 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. Call it 3 months.
What are the dishes you're most excited about serving as a non-breakfast person?
I'm excited to serve breakfast. I'm excited to, I have an interesting take on, people love breakfast buffets when they're on vacation. It's so weird. Most people hate the idea of breakfast buffets because they seem gross. But when you're in Hawaii or somewhere on vacation in a hotel, sometimes people love this idea. So I've got a weird, interesting take on breakfast buffet. It's completely not a breakfast buffet, but it's sort of how I've captured the essence of a breakfast buffet without actually having a buffet. I know it sounds strange, but I'll share that with people. And I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to tackle things that I'm not known for or good at. So I'm excited to go laminate dough, make croissants. I can do these things, but I want to get better at it. So I'm excited to like grow more. It's like I feel like this is a business, but also personally for me, like a little bit of a school, like to become well-rounded.
I love that. I'm excited to come once you're open and I.
You're not invited.
Yeah, no. Once everyone else is invited,
right.
then I'm at the back of the line.
Yeah, you're not invited. Yeah.
Just can't sneak in.
I'm not going to tell you that.
No, I know. That's
I've blocked you.
that's what I've heard.
That's it for this episode of Story in a Bottle. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review for us in the iTunes store or wherever you listen. I'd like to thank our producers at 1459 Production Management and Charming Robots Eric Bowie for his continued production support. And of course, I'd like to thank my guest, Sang Yoon, for graciously giving us his time.